live from the YouTube and the Zoom, and it's way too much.
Yeah, and especially if there's a lag.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's terrible. Well, yeah, it was a good thing I played with it yesterday because I hadn't done it yet. So, all right,
Well, it says it's live.
Setting up your. Yep, I think it's just about doing it live. It's just waiting to redirect me. So, I think we are just about here.
Cool. Yeah, I've got a little thing on the upper left-hand corner that says live on YouTube.
Yep, I see it. Okay, cool. There we
Perfect.
go. So we are live. Thank you. Yeah, not bad. First try right there. So, all right, everybody, welcome. My name's Amu. I'm the pipe and tobacco specialist here at Arlington Heights, Illinois. Hopefully, if you've been watching these YouTube videos or you know our shop, then you know that about me. I'm here joined today with the lovely Laurel from Macanudo.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Than't for joining us.
Of course.
I just wanted to be casual. Don't just relax and hang out.
I wore my casual shirt.
Yeah, see, well, this is my nice shirt. I got my Macanudo, You know,
now you're just buttering me up.
Wait, it gets better. I got my lighter.
Ooh.
And I got actually something else to show you. So for most of our viewers, Macanudo is a brand that we're all familiar with. I actually just had a guy the other day who came up to do curbside and asked him, you want to participate in this event or whatever. And he said, oh, Macanudo, that reminds me of my grandfather. I mean, that's just a classic.
Yeah.
That's what I get when I get pipe smoking.
But see, that's the mentality we're trying to change.
Exactly. Which is why I want to get into that Inspirato line, because I love the changes that are happening. But I wanted to show this to you because I'm so proud of it. So in 2013, end of 2012, when I was getting ready to move out to Chicago, one of my best friends at the time, his dad, that's all he smoked. He chain smoked the Macanudo cafe line, the little guys, the court cafes.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And the tin.
He just had so much swag from them that I was getting ready to leave, and he gave me this. Check this bad boy out. This is an old school Macanudo.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I've never even seen that before.
Isn't this thing awesome? It actually used to be much more shiny.
Is it pewter?
It's I don't know.
Hard to tell from here.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of metal it is. It felt like it. I mean, it's probably not real silver, but it's gotten some patina on it because I had it sitting out. But yeah, I actually have never used it, but this is my ash. This is one of my favorite ashtrays.
Very cool.
Isn't that cool?
Hey, if it is silver, fun fact, you can actually use cigar ash to polish silver. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not.
Yeah, like pipe ash, cigarette ash doesn't do it. If you take take your cigar, smoke as much as you can to get a big ash, and then if you grind that ash up into a rag, it is better than silver polish. It's a little bit messier, so I don't recommend it with like rings and fine jewelry. But to do something like that, that'll take the patina right off.
No kidding. Okay, I'm gonna try that. It's gonna be hard for me to do that because ash has never touched this ashtray.
Fair enough. So now you're rubbing it in ash.
So now I'm just gonna rub it in ash. But anyway. So that's my point is that this is a brand that it's been around. We know it. People know it. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us just a little bit about the history of Macanudo? When did it start? Whatever little history tidbit you can give us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Macanudo is a very iconic brand. It's almost synonymous with cigars. I mean, you hear the name Macanudo, and even people who aren't cigar smokers can recognize it. I find three brands to be that way: Macanudo, Cohiba, and Romeo and Julieta.
Yeah.
Those are, like Cohiba especially, I feel like people hear that name, and even as being a non-smoker, they understand that it's a cigar brand. But Macanudo has been around since 1868. So what's interesting is that it actually started not as its own company, but under the Punch brand. So before we did some kind of like rebranding on the logos, the Punch crest and the Macanudo crest are actually very, very similar. And that's because it started as a line of Punch. And then I want to say it was like the UK that wasn't allowing the import of Cuban tobacco. And so they took Macanudo out from being a line of Punch because Punch is of Cuban heritage. It's originally a Cuban brand, whereas Macanudo was not. So they took Macanudo, and instead of leaving it under the Punch line, they moved it to Jamaica. And so that's why Macanudo is being produced in Jamaica. And some of the original cafe series up until like the mid 90s were still produced in Jamaica. So by making this line outside of Cuba for the UK, it was actually one of the first lines to not use Cuban tobacco and be of no Cuban heritage. So 1868. So then if we jump forward to 1968 is actually when the Colemans acquired it. So if you're not familiar with the Colemans, they actually are kind of the founders of General Cigar. So Edgar Coleman, and he acquired it in 1968, and then it came to the United States in 1971. So in 2018 we celebrated our 50th anniversary, which is technically 50th anniversary of acquisition. So 2021 we can celebrate another 50th anniversary because it'll be the anniversary of us having it in the United States. So Macanudo has been around literally forever. And you were saying earlier about the gentleman saying like, oh my gosh, Macanudo, like that reminds me of my grandfather. But our rep actually in the Carolinas coined the hashtag not your daddy's Mac. And it's so true because people hear Macanudo and they think, oh, my father smoked it or my grandfather smoked it or that's my first cigar. And I've kind of moved on since then. But as we'll get into later, I'll let you kind of lead the conversation here. With the Inspirato series, it really is evolving so much. You know, we use the phrase an evolution of an icon, and truly, like, I don't think we could phrase it any better because you're taking this brand as iconic and as historical as Macanudo and evolving it to keep up with market trends and kind of fit for everybody's palate. So it's been a really, really cool brand to work on and see it grow. And I mean, the last 5 years, the amount of growth from that brand, if you look at it overall, has been insane. So yeah, it's been pretty fun.
Yeah, no, that, you know, what's funny is I don't know if you made this connection, but when I tagged you in that Crew Royale cigar picture yesterday, and you mentioned the 1968, my dad was actually the one who commented underneath and said something about, oh, I haven't had the 1968 in a long time, but I think it's a good smoke.
Okay, yeah, I saw that comment. I noticed the last name.
Yeah, that was my father. He actually is the one who got me into cigars. And I remember Romeo and Juliet, Arturo Fuente, like Cohibas, La Gloria, all of these names. Macanudo was one that it was in the humidor.
Yeah.
It was. And so when I started working here, when I got into the industry, to see the line that all of the lines that we carry here, I was like, where did all these Macanudos come from? What is this? And it's been really cool to learn that you guys have been really pushing this company to become something more modern and for people like us, for the next generation of smokers. It's kind of like what I'm trying to do with pipes.
Yeah.
You know, people always tell me I smell like you smell like my grandpa. I'm like, thanks. I'm a 28-year-old woman, but I'm
That's actually what I'm going for.
Exactly.
Well, and of course we don't want to discount some of the, the core lines. The Macanudo Cafe is still our bread and butter. It's still our number one selling cigar. And up until recently, it was still the number one selling cigar in the world. Wow. So there's still an incredible following for that particular cigar. So we would never look at the Inspirato series as a replacement saying like, oh, that blend is no longer valid, because it's still so popular and prolific and, does so well for us. The Inspirato line or anything else that we're releasing isn't a replacement, but rather an extension. And so I think there's enough room in the portfolio for everybody to be in the sandbox,
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. I can take anybody really to our cabinet that's got Mac in it, and I can find something for anybody. And the M does really well here.
Okay.
For good reasons.
One of those this morning.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that cigar, but that's a whole nother story. So one of the reasons that we're featuring Macanudo or not one of the reasons, but one of the reasons I guess that we're having you on doing this is because we're getting prepared to do our FUMA event.
Yes, we are.
Really, I am so nerding out about this. I'm very excited.
I love that though. I'm excited that you are excited.
I am such a nerd when it comes to this stuff. And you know what? I actually got, I think 4 or 5 people yesterday to sign up because I knew that they were nerds about tobacco too. So awesome. I said, hey, listen, you guys are really going to want to get in on this. So tell us just a little bit about what is a FUMA event and what exactly is, what is it? What is this going to look like for a lot of people?
Sure. So FUMA like basically translates to smoke. I mean, if you look at like the word fumar, it's like the act of smoking, to smoke. So the FUMAs are like little cigarillos. I don't know if you have any Perfect. I figured you'd be prepared. Yeah, so they're small. They're basically like what you can get in tins if you're buying like a Mac Mini or like, one of the CAO, like a small, like the Cohiba Smalls or something like that. So what's interesting about those two is that it's actually what our blenders at the factory use to determine if tobacco is ready or not. So if we're looking to use like, say, Habano, it's okay. So they're making that to see if the tobacco is ready to be used in the cigar. So we have been doing kind of these educational events for Macanudo now. This is the 3rd year. And actually we'll be switching over the platform probably once we can get back to traveling again here. So it's this one in particular is all of the same tobacco grown in different regions. So the first year we did wrapper binder filler of both the black and the white. Last year we did all of the wrappers because we talk so much about the wrapper and how it contributes to the flavor and stuff, and kind of being able to smoke the wrapper on its own and then smoke the full cigar next to it and say like, wow, the flavor of this translates so much to the flavor of the full cigar, but it's a little bit more balanced. And then this is because we speak so much on the soil and the climate, the country of origin. Why does it matter? I mean, you have people coming, maybe you haven't heard it. I used to get people who are like, oh, I don't smoke anything from Nicaragua. And you're like, but why? It's so vast. There's so many different regions that yield so many different flavors. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's like saying you're never going to travel to Europe because you had one bad experience in Italy. I don't know. Like, why are you discounting every other country? So it's just, this is a good opportunity for people to be able to really see why the soil affects it. We can smoke a cigar that has tobacco from Jalapa or has tobacco from Esteli or Jamastran or Elancho San Agustin or whatever, but it's still the blended cigar. So by taking all of the same seed, which for this particular exercise is going to be Habano, and growing it in those 4 different regions, it's telling you exactly what you're getting from that growing region. So we do 2 from Nicaragua, 2 from Honduras. So Nicaragua is Esteli, which is the most vast growing region, and then Ometepe, which is the smallest growing region. And then from Honduras, we're using Jamastran, which like Esteli is one of the more vast growing regions. And then on the other hand, we're using Osa. Look at you, you're on this. We're using Elancho San Agustin for the other example from Honduras. And it's a very cool way to really get a sense for why the soil matters. Like the soil content, are there volcanoes? Is it rocky? Is it sandy? Is it clay based? Is it near a river? And why all of that matters. So I personally get very excited to do it. And this is going to be great because I have been off the road not doing these now for almost like 3 months. So I will be fresh and ready and super pumped to do it again.
It's so funny because when we were trying to decide, when I called you, when we were trying to decide what kind of event we wanted to do with you guys, you mentioned the Fuma. It was like right out of your mouth. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but she sounds really pumped about it. So I better ask. So yeah. Have you always liked to do teaching kind of educational stuff? Is that something you've always liked to do?
Yes. When I started with Macanudo, now actually I've been with the company, it'll be 4 years in October, but I've been with Macanudo like in this position specifically 3 years in August.
Okay.
So when we kind of started mapping out what approach we were going to take with me in events, I'm very much into like the educational aspect because I think the more for selfish reasons, I think the more the more you feel comfortable with that cigar and the more you're going to feel, a certain affinity to it when you want to go pick that off the shelf over something else. But
right.
I don't know, not to sound cliche, but like I truly think that knowledge is power. And whether it be something maybe a little bit more important or something as simple as like the tobaccos that go into your cigar or the rationale behind why we're using those particular regions or how we develop that blend, for somebody who really is into cigar smoking and who you were saying earlier, like kind of those tobacco nerds, it's a very cool experience because it's really not something that anybody else is doing. There's other companies that have done like wrapper binder filler, but even with like the wrapper tasting and then now with those different countries of origin, I think we're really on the forefront of doing that. And yes, I've always believed that the educational aspect is important. And to be honest, mean, I've been doing it now for 3 years and we've gotten nothing but great feedback. Certain shops, obviously, like there's people who are more interested than others. But overall, it's always very positive. People may be going in with a little apprehension, like, oh, I don't know if I want to listen to her talk to me for an hour. And then they come out of it, they're like, okay, that was actually super cool.
Oh yeah.
And then that makes me feel good because I'm like, okay, cool. That's what I'm here for. My job.
Right. I can imagine. Hey, you would thrive in the pipe world, because I found most pipe guys are just pipe smokers in general. We really can nerd out. I've noticed if you're going to find a group of people who want to nerd out about tobacco or
pipe.
wood.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd be shocked some of the
Really?
Conversations I hear about. I mean, it's a piece of wood, it's a beautiful piece of wood, it's art, and I treasure every one of my pipes, but you would just be, that would be, there you go. You would thrive in that community.
Can you give me 1 second?
Yeah, take your time. No problem. So, in this kind of conversation that Laurel and I have been having, so the reason, and shame on me, I should have probably started off with saying what we're both smoking. So I'll let you go first. So what do you have?
No. By all means.
Okay. So I actually have the Macanudo Inspirato Red. I am smoking the Robusto size because I don't know. I'm always I like a Robusto for a lot of things, not just Max. I find that I get bored easy, so I'm ready to man, I can have this, and then in an hour I'll just go have one of the whites or something.
I like the box press on that over the other sizes, or do you just like the Robusto length?
I just like the Robusto length, unless I'm sitting outside having a beer and I'm on my day off. But when I'm in the shop, I notice that I like to smoke as much as I can as possible. That's probably not the best way to do it, but I like to, I'll pick my smaller bowls from my pipes, because then I'll just have a little bit, and then I'll move on to my cigar and I'll have a little one. And I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's nothing I've ever, before I started working here, Toros all day. I just like Toros, but I've just noticed that I like the Robusto size, and I actually do like the box press on this. I know a lot of people aren't box press fans, but I really like how this one is done.
Yeah. No, and I hear you on the Robusto size. I mean, I'm a slow smoker. I know other people are like, oh, I'm also a slow smoker. I'm like, I don't know if you've smoked a cigar like toe to toe with me, because I promise you I'm slower. And it's not like I'm trying to really milk it. It's just, I think a lot of times for me, or most times for me, when I'm smoking a cigar, it's a social thing. So I'm at an event and I'm doing the fuma tasting, or I'm talking to people, or we've got friends over and you're talking in that way. So you're smoking quick enough, or you're smoking enough that you're keeping it lit, but very, very slowly, which you've watched my Facebook Lives. I unsuccessfully make it through that entire hour without having to relight it like 17 times.
Yeah, I take back what I said about you being a pipe smoker.
And honestly, that's why I don't really smoke pipes anymore. I used to smoke pipes more when I was at the cigar shop, because we were a pretty big pipe shop. But it was always difficult for me to smoke while I was there, because you're getting distracted, people coming in, asking questions, putting the pipe down. Like, a cigar will sit longer and is a little bit more forgiving if you're not paying attention to it, than a pipe. And I just failed. Like Saturday mornings when we were slower, I would get on the pipe action, but other than that, couldn't do it.
That's fair. Fair.
Yeah, so I tend to smoke a lot of Robusto and Toro as well, because like I said, I am a slow smoker and I like to keep it diversified, smoke something else. So today I'm actually smoking the Macanudo Gold in our 2020 pyramid size. So
that's a cool size. I watched you, what was it, Wednesday? You were talking about that. And I saw that. I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. I haven't seen that yet. That's cool.
Yeah. I wanted something a little bit mellower this afternoon. And to be quite honest, I have a lot of them at home right now. So kind of working through them to free up some room in the humidor. Yeah,
I was hearing how many, I thought I had a lot of tobacco at home. I heard that. That's a lot.
But I reiterate, I do work for a cigar manufacturer. We have to we get the cigars to try. We get cigars that we can take on the road with us to give out to, retailers and stuff. But yeah, it doesn't suck. I'm not going to try to downplay and be like, oh, it was me, so many cigars.
Well, it's funny. I always feel bad whenever I start talking about it. Usually somebody tells me, oh my gosh, you have such a hard job. And I'm like, I wasn't complaining. I was just saying what I have. So I get it. Okay. So I know that you have done this probably a million times, but can you tell us a little bit about the Inspirato line?
Yeah.
Now that we talked a little bit about Macanudo history, about trying to rejuvenate the brand a little bit, maybe adding, not replacing, but adding on to the brand. What
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
Inspirato? Where did it come from? What do we have going on here?
Sure. So we'll kind of take it back a little bit to the origin in 2014 and move from there.
Mm.
So the Inspirato line was, the orange came first and was actually originally blended for our European market. So the cigar was developed there before it was here. And it was developed for a market where Cubans are legal. So we had to use different tobaccos, more complex blending. I mean, it was literally sitting on the shelf next to Cubans. And a fun little anecdote here is when I started with the company in October, and well before I had started interviewing with them, we had a trip booked to Barcelona. And whenever we travel, a fun thing to do is find different cigar shops in the area because,
Oh, yeah.
you know, especially in different countries, it's a little bit of a different culture, but like the culture translates. So it's always fun. Like my husband and I are both big cigar smokers, so it's always cool to see that aspect of it. So we were in Barcelona and we were visiting different cigar shops, and it's a little bit different there because they're all controlled by the government. So whereas here they're independently run. Whereas there, I think they're like independently owned, like through a franchise, but I think there's a requirement on what you have to carry.
Okay.
But it was literally all Cubans, a couple Davidoffs, and then the Macanudo Inspirato Orange.
Really?
Like, well, I'll be damned.
No kidding. Oh, that's cool.
So it was cool because you hear about it and they talk about the rationale behind the blend and stuff, and then you go and you actually see it firsthand. And being there in 2016, so that cigar had been on the market for about 2 years before we opted to bring it to the United States. So we had to develop it a couple different sizes. So there's like a Corona size that's available in Europe that isn't available here.
Wow.
So in 2016, when we brought it here, is actually when I went there. So to see it in the shops in Europe, and then for it to be just being introduced into the market in the United States, and then that's actually the year that we received top 25 from Cigar Aficionado on it, which is incredible for Macanudo. I mean, Macanudo, I think it's one of those brands that like everybody knows, and people at the time like didn't want to pay attention to maybe the newer innovative stuff coming out. So, you know, say what you will about ratings or, you know, ratings in different magazines, but I will tell you that was incredibly helpful for the, you know, ubiquity of the Inspirato Orange. And so it was incredibly successful here. Like I said, we let it kind of develop in our European market for 2 years, brought it here in 2016. And then in 2017, we started expanding the line with the white and the black. So at the trade show, we released the Inspirato White, which is going to be a little bit mellower. So let me backtrack here. So we talked about a little bit of the history. So we'll go through the line with each of the cigars in particular. So yes, the orange is what started it all. So then we developed the white, the black, and then in 2018, the red, and then soon the green. Hopefully sooner rather than later, you guys will have that. So the white is going to be mellower, and it's a great cigar because it's a good embodiment of being a mellower cigar with a fuller flavor. A lot of people think that body and flavor are always synonymous, and that is just not the case.
Right.
I mean, you can have a mellow cigar with a lot of flavor, and on the contrary, you can have a fuller flavor or a fuller bodied cigar with a muted flavor. So we use Connecticut shade that we grow in Ecuador as opposed to like the cafe or the gold that we're growing in Connecticut. So it comes from a very volcanic region, which is going to yield a richer, spicier, more complex smoke. And then we're using Mexican San Andrean and Nicaraguan tobacco, 2 regions for the filler, and then Indonesian tobacco for the binder. So it's creamy, it's smooth, it's spicy. It's just got a lot going on for being a milder cigar. So very, very cool. And then the orange is actually going to be more of a straight medium body, primarily Honduran of origin. So we're using Osa as the wrapper, Elantra San Agustin. So with this Fuma tasting, you're actually able to try that Osa wrapper, which is the wrapper of the orange. And then we're using Jamastran for the binder and then one of the fillers, as well as Nicaraguan Ometepe. That's another one you get to try. And Dominican Piloto Cubano. So it's actually my favorite out of all of them. If I'm going to smoke, yes. Yeah. So if I'm going to smoke one cigar for all day, like if we're doing a trade show or a big smoker festival and I can only take one box with me, it's going to be the orange, because you can smoke it in the morning on an empty stomach. You can smoke it at night after you eat a meal. You can pair it with pretty much anything, and it doesn't fight back.
Mhm.
And it's got so much flavor and so much complexity going on that I'm never bored with it. So I can't say enough good things about that cigar. And again, being originally developed for that Cuban market, it's got a very Cuban-esque blend style to it, where it changes a lot as you smoke it. And
I just had one the other day, and yeah, it was a good reminder for me. I gotta say, Corona is one of my favorite sizes of cigars.
Same
And I am
for sure.
so bummed that we don't have the Corona Macanudo orange. Anyways, I digress.
Yeah,
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna give
and
you the third
honestly,
degree about it, but
I think the reason we don't have that here is probably like FDA predicate sizing stuff. We had to develop blends that, we're gonna be in line with the sizes. So, but you're saying that you like the Corona. It's an interesting point, because when we're blending a cigar, we typically blend to a Corona size, because that's what's considered to be like the sweet spot for the ratio of the wrapper, binder, filler. So if we're looking at a new blend and we want to see how everything plays nicely together, we do it in a Corona.
yeah, and that's when we were when I got a chance to go to Nicaragua to a tabacalera, we actually were smoking a lot of the Corona sizes, and I just find them to be such a sweet, like you said, perfect description, sweet spot.
Yeah.
I mean, especially for me, I think they're very comfortable in the hand. They're very comfortable on my lips, and they just got a really nice flavor to them, no matter what.
And it's a good amount of time to smoke.
Right. Yeah, that's just and especially maybe that's more when I'm working here. If I'm if I'm at home, I'll probably smoke something bigger, because I just get to sit down, relax, hang out, or whatever.
Sure.
But if I'm running around the shop, or if I'm in the car or whatever, I just love a Corona size. It's my favorite.
I would agree. You just don't see as many Coronas around now.
No, unfortunately not. And in that same line of thought, Lancero, I love a Lancero, and you just know you're hard pressed to find them.
I think it's a value thing, where people feel like, for 50 cents more, they can buy a Toro, and get an extra, I don't know, 20 minutes or half an hour out of it. Like, I mean, I guess I understand the mentality, but, and I think that's why, like, the 770s and the 660s really took off as well.
I agree. I 100% agree. We're a big 660 store.
Okay.
We do a lot of big ring gauges.
Yeah.
And I have pushed some of these guys into Lanceros or whatever, and they'll come back and be like, wow, that was actually really good. I don't know if I would do it again, because I wanted it bigger, smoke longer. But you're like, wow, that was a really good. So they recognize it, but and that's I totally understand. It's easy for me to sit here and say I love Lanceros and I love Coronas, because I get to smoke them,
Yes, exactly.
And I'm not shoveling out money for a bunch of cigars.
But if there's somebody who only has $10 a day to spend on a cigar, and they want to hang out at the cigar shop with their friends for 2.5, 3 hours, they're going to buy the 770 over the Lancero, because they can get more smoke out of that for a better value. It's probably worth mentioning that it's difficult to translate the blend to a size that big, because you have to use so much more filler. So the costs are able to stay aggressive on those, because we're using a lot of Seco. There's a lot of tobacco that, like, wrapper tobacco is the most expensive. So by just putting a lot of that extra Seco tobacco in there, that filler tobacco, you can get that size and that smoke time. It's not necessarily going to be stronger. It's a lot more tobacco, because the plants produce so much of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think, I agree. It really is it's a cost.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like the plant produces the least amount of Ligero, and Ligero is what you need the most of, and then it produces the most amount of Seco, and Seco is what you need the least of. So it's like
thanks tobacco plants. Jeez.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe evolution will help us out with that in a couple of years, huh?
Let's see. So we talked about the orange and the white, so we need the black, right?
Yes, let's go black, and then we'll go back to red.
Okay, so black, medium plus as far as strength. We are using a Connecticut broadleaf Maduro that we're growing domestically. It's actually coming from the same field as our Partagas Black. So if you guys are Partagas Black smokers and you really enjoy that kind of quintessential Maduro with the cocoa and the coffee notes, slower smoker, produces a lot of smoke, the Inspirato Black is going to be where it's at. And then we use Ecuadorian Sumatra for the binder, which is going to aid in a little bit of that natural sweetness. And then actually all Nicaraguan filler. So it's all coming from Esteli, which is another one of the Pumas that we're going to be doing. So we're using Nicaraguan Esteli, both of the Ligero and the Seco variety, which is ironic because we were just talking about that. So the Ligero on its own doesn't have a ton of flavor. It's a little bit bitter. It's very oily. It smokes very slowly. So if you think about a cigar and wanting a stronger cigar, people think about Ligero. Ligero on its own does not smoke very well. So when we go into developing a cigar, we're not only thinking about the flavor, but also the combustion, the structural integrity. All the tobaccos are there for a reason. So Ligero is going to add some strength, but we need other tobaccos in there to make sure that's going to burn properly, to make sure that it's not going to be bitter. So by using the Seco to balance it out, you're getting the flavor that you expect from Esteli, but you're getting the strength that we want from the Ligero to provide that kind of medium plus all over strength for the cigar. So the black and then the red. So the red is our newest addition, our full line addition to the Inspirato series, again, until the green comes out. The red we released in 2018. And the Robusto is actually the only box press that we've ever done for Macanudo. And the reason we do that is for the blend in particular, by having that smaller ring gauge and those, oh my God, this train. I don't know if you can hear that.
I can still hear you better, so it's fine.
It's like very distracting.
Yeah, so, try to say everything you've ever memorized while the train's in your ear.
Right. Okay, I can hear it traveling away now. Yes, we do a box press in the Robusto because of the nature of the blend. We're using actually 2 leaves of Ligero, one for the wrapper, one for one of the fillers. And then by having a smaller ring gauge, the tobacco tends to burn hotter. So by having the box press on it, it is a different smoking experience. You're actually drawing in more air as you are puffing it. So the air is going to cool it down as you're smoking it. So if you're eating food that's too hot, you really don't get the full flavor out of it. So by allowing that smoke to cool down, by having that extra air coming in as you're taking a puff, it actually cools down the smoke, and so you get more flavor.
Now let me ask you this: when you guys got ready to do the red, did the blend come first, or did the idea that you wanted to box press something come first?
Well, so the box press usually isn't first. The box press is usually a product of what the blend is.
Makes sense.
So take, for example, CAO Flathead. Great blend, really amazing seller for us. When Rick was in the development process, they had come to him with the cigar, and he was basically like, what can we do to this? Like, it's a good flavor, but it's smoking very hot. So they ended up doing that really, really like chiseled box press. I mean, I feel like that's a more intense box press than a lot of other box press cigars out there.
It really is, yeah.
And it made it perfect. I don't think that cigar would be what it is without the box press.
Wow. That's a pretty assertive statement, but it makes sense too. I mean, when you talk about these things, and I think it's great for people to understand and for people to hear this, because a lot of people don't know why that size and shape, and it's not all just a marketing gimmick. There's an actual, there's reason for the madness.
There's rationale behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't think that. I think that your average, cigar smoker probably doesn't realize that. So that's pretty cool.
I would always joke when somebody would ask me about box press. I'm like, oh, it's so your cigar doesn't roll off the golf cart.
That's good. I'm gonna have to put that in my arsenal for a lot of these guys. Oh my gosh. So the reason I chose this, and maybe we could talk just a little bit more about the red before I have you jump into the green. The reason I chose the red was because a lot of these tobaccos are from the regions that we're having. It seems like out of the Inspirato line, this one has the most of the region. Is that a correct statement? This one has the most of the ones from the regions that we're going to be smoking.
Technically, yes, because it's only, because it's Esteli, Hamastron, and Ometepe. So the only one it's missing is the Osa.
I have Jalapa. So I did a little homework too here, right, for this. I have Ecuadorian Habano for the wrapper.
Yes.
Nicaraguan from Jalapa.
For the binder.
Yep. Filler is Honduran Hamastron, Esteli, and Ometepe. So,
yes.
hey,
And
you
the
aced it.
JA on the Fumas always trip me up because I feel like JA can be Jalapa or Hamastron.
Initially, I thought it was Jalapa.
Yeah. So yes, you're correct. We're actually 3 out of 4 of those Fumas are making up the fillers of that particular cigar. So, you know, we chose those regions in particular because they translate to a lot of the blends. So we're using Esteli in the red, we're using Esteli in the white, we're using it in the black. Osa is the orange, but we're using Hamastron in the orange, we're using Hamastron in the red. We're using Ometepe in the orange, we're using Ometepe in the red. So yes, you are correct in saying that the red houses the most of those blends.
But
however, yes, it is because they all go between the entire Inspirato line. And then the green will actually be really cool to kind of roll into our platform for next year. So we're going to be doing the same thing as far as like different countries of origin for the Fuma tasting, but because the green is Brazilian based and more South American tobacco based, instead of being Nicaraguan, Honduras, it'll be Brazilian tobacco, Colombian tobacco, you know, that kind of stuff. So
ooh, I am so excited for the green.
Yeah.
So you want to move on to the green then?
Yeah, so we'll go over the blend really quickly, the regs. I don't think we technically have yet.
Oh yeah, sorry, please.
So we're using the Ecuadorian Habano for the wrapper, which is Ligero.
Yes, it is.
And then we're using the Jalapa. Oh, you went over the blend. The Jalapa for the binder, and then Hamastron, Esteli, and Ometepe. And the cool thing is, it's a very aggressively priced cigar. I mean, Chicago's probably a little bit more expensive because, you know, Chicago sucks for taxes for tobacco. But for most people, it's like between a $7.50 and $9 cigar, depending on the size. We're using a 12-year Nicaraguan Esteli, a 10-year Hamastron, and a 5-year Ometepe. And so you're getting the strength and the flavor, but it's not bitey. It's got a lot of aged tobacco, and it's still, you're getting a really phenomenal cigar for a very good price. So I think that cigar in particular, for the age that we have on those tobaccos, I'm like, why?
Yeah, you know what, and I love that. I'm not, every once in a while, I'll pick up a cigar with the intention of saying, I want something that's got a little nip to it, little pepper or whatever. And, but for the most part, when I smoke a full bodied cigar, I generally don't look for that. I look for the body, but not so much that peppery in your face. And this just hits that sweet spot for me. I love this guy, and it's really consistent throughout the entire smoke too, which is really nice.
Yeah, and I think it's a good blend that works within the Inspirato line, where it adds some strength, what we were missing maybe with like the white or the black or the orange, but it still fits within that, what you'd expect from Macanudo. You know, it's consistent, it's complex, but it's still not going to be like an absolute powerhouse.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to do something like, I don't know, all Ligero or something. I would still say that's coming in at like a 7 out of 10 as far as strength. You know, Macanudo overall doesn't want to do anything that's going to like blow you out of the water. You know, we're more into the tobaccos used. Is it interesting? Is it different? Is it unique? Is it consistent? Is it complex? So it's enough that it holds the interest of people who want a stronger cigar, but not so much that it's totally out of the realm for what Macanudo would be expected to put out.
Yeah, I feel like this is, you guys are just getting right to the edge there.
Yes.
You guys have drawn that line for yourself in the sand for what defines Macanudo, and you guys get right up to the edge while still being creative and unique and exciting. And delicious. So tell us a little bit about the green real quick. And did you have any, what kind of a hand did you have in developing this blend, if any?
So the green, we knew we were going to develop it probably about a year into my time with Macanudo. Typically, we're looking at blends about 2 to 3 years down the line, because we have to make sure we can source the tobacco, we can get all of our ducks in a row.
So you have secrets then?
Oh, of course. We have so many secrets. We have like a little treasure trove of secrets.
I'm sure you do.
So yeah, it was in the works pretty early on in my time with Macanudo. So we knew it was coming. But as far as my hand in it, so I'm on the panel for blend selection. So not just for Macanudo, but for everything. I've talked about this a little bit, I think in like my lives, but it's cool because we've got like Rick from CAO and Sean Williams from Cohiba and myself, and then like all of our brand managers and some of our factory guys. And, a lot of different people coming together. I would say it's probably about 20 people who do blend testing and blend selection. So, if Steve, who's the brand manager for Macanudo, if him and myself have one particular palette and we say we don't like Brazilian tobacco, which is crazy. But like, if neither of us like Brazilian tobacco and we can't be objective and say like, oh, we think this would be a good blend, that's not fair to the company. It's not fair to the market. So by having a panel with people from different experiences, different walks of life, different times within the industry, representing different brands that have all different feels, you're able to get a wider scope of palettes and a little bit more of an objective decision on what that cigar should be. So like Rick with CAO, he doesn't like Cameroon. Well, just because he doesn't like Cameroon doesn't mean that like not everybody else there likes Cameroon. So It's something where we can say like, yes, this is a really good cigar. You don't like it because it just isn't to your taste. Like I hate pickles, so I would not be a good person to like, develop something like if they want to, like the new pickle flavor. I'm like, I'm going to hate these regardless because I hate pickles. So like, I cannot be objective on this decision.
Hopefully that's not one of the secrets.
No. So it's very cool that we have such a large panel and a whole variety of palettes being able to select the blend. So and typically we start with maybe about 10 blends. So we'll go to the factory and say like, okay, we're looking to develop a cigar that has Brazilian tobacco. What sort of wrappers can we use? We've got a couple different options. We've got Arapiraca, Braganza, Matafina, but we of course want to do something that's going to be different from like the CAO Brasilia or any of those Amazon Basin lines. So it's coming up with something that is still fitting the bill for the Brazilian tobacco, but it's not going to be the same. You shouldn't pick up the Inspirato Green and say like, oh, I could just smoke the CAO instead. Like it's a different cigar. So typically we'll get about 10 blends and then pare it down from there. So then we usually get it down to about 2 or 3 blends before the whole panel comes in and smokes them. And so then that's the final stage of selecting what we're going to do for that cigar. And then the development goes from there. We do the bands, we do the boxes, we do the packaging, all like the logistical stuff that is still fun, but not in like the tobacco aspect. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. I'm very grateful to be part of it. Our guys who are on the Macanudo team down in the Dominican factory are incredible. They're crazy experience. They've been with us forever. They know everything, and it's crazy. I mean, I've been in the cigar industry now for almost a decade, which is madness to me because I don't feel like I'm old enough to be in the cigar industry for a decade. But I'm still constantly learning, and I love going down there because they're just a wealth of knowledge, and we have a really good team that works to develop these blends, and we're very lucky to have them. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I can imagine. Well,
so when you want to talk about the blend, I think I glazed over.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, I keep getting off on these tangents and.
No, but this is good. This is information that I didn't know, and I'm sure that these guys will like to hear. So yeah, tell us about the green.
All right, so the green, strength-wise, is going to fall in line similar to that of the black, so kind of that like medium plus, but it's a very different flavor from the black, so it really rounds out the line nicely. And as of right now, it's also going to be kind of the cap of the Inspirato line. Of course, we're going to continue to develop for Macanudo, but we feel like this is going to be a good end to that series. For Inspirato. So we're using Brazilian Arapiraca, which is the first time we're using Arapiraca for a Macanudo blend. In fact, we don't really use that much Brazilian tobacco for Macanudo overall. We're using it in our 1968, which is funny because we were talking about that earlier. We also use it in our vintage 97, but beyond that, we really aren't using a lot of Brazilian tobacco. So Arapiraca wrapper, we are using Indonesian tobacco for the binder, and then Colombian and Dominican tobacco for the fillers. So a lot of different countries working there, very complex blend. It's kind of what you'd expect from a Brazilian tobacco. The Arapiraca in particular provides earthiness, sweetness, spiciness. It's just an incredible balance that I don't think a lot of other tobacco can compete with. And then by using the Indonesian tobacco, it's going to give it a little bit more of like a floral aroma, but the tobacco itself is a little bit mellower. So it really lets that Arapiraca kind of shine, and then the Dominican and the Colombian tobacco is going to aid in the smoothness and a little bit of the sweetness to really round out the flavor profile.
That's exciting. I can't wait to try the green. Chris and I were just talking about it today, and we're really excited for it to debut.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited for you guys to try it. I mean, I wish that, you know, in a perfect world, it probably would have been out already.
Yeah.
So
but that's okay. It's just getting a little bit more of the excitement up, right?
Exactly. We're just trying to like throw out all these teasers. So, you know, by the time it releases, we're going to have people like storming down the doors of the cigar shops.
Yeah,
that's this green.
That's the goal, right? That's the goal. So, and for anybody who wants to check out, actually, it's really cool. I was on your guys' website yesterday, kind of just peeking around, and your website's really well done. It was a beautiful website, and it was really easy to work.
It's actually very new.
Yeah, I was going to say it looks it's very clean, and it's very easy to navigate, and it's really done well. But one of the things that I wanted to make sure, just give a little shout out to the specific page on there for people who really like to learn a little bit more about the process of what it means to make a cigar from seed to boxing, is if you guys go to macanudo.com/heritage, you can actually see that they have the whole page there with just little paragraphs, just little brief descriptions of from seed to boxings, from seed and planting down to boxing and putting the labels on. And it's just little information. It's really quick little read. You're not going to be sitting there all day doing research on, you know, how to do this, but it was really well done. It was really thorough for something quick and easy to understand for just average consumers. And so I'd recommend anybody who might be watching this video to go check out the Heritage page on the Macanudo website.
Well, I'm really glad that you enjoyed it. I mean, I think it's a really good resource, but I feel like coming from me, they're like, oh, you're just trying to sell your website. I'm like, well, no, I mean, it's actually not just Macanudo, but any of our brands. And it's something as simple as like, maybe somebody's embarrassed to ask their friends about how to season a humidor because, you know, they should know how, or like maybe where exactly to cut a cigar because, man, there are a lot of overcutters out there. A lot of overcutters.
I was very guilty of that until recently, so I understand.
And so it's a good place to go where you can get really any of the information you need without having to like maybe put yourself out there for your friends or ask a Facebook group and have people judge you.
Right, exactly. So cool. Well, so as far as Macanudo business and as far as this all goes, you know, I'm pretty much wrapped up with all my questions here. Awesome. But I know that you have been doing a lot of these Instagram lives and Facebook lives and interviews and everything. And I've been watching, I've been seeing, and I haven't
see you popping up.
I'll pop up and say hi or whatever. And I have not seen a single person do an icebreaker style questionnaire to end it off, to get you a little bit out of the wheelhouse of having to talk about work. So you down for a couple of fun icebreaker style questions?
Oh, absolutely. Last night, Rick asked me what my favorite childhood cereal was. So.
Okay. So I missed that, but so Rick beat me to it. But I think I got some good ones here that I'm pretty proud of that I came up with. So actually, I didn't come up with these.
I love the unique questions though, because we don't get them that often.
No, it's always like, what was your first child pet name or whatever? And I'm like, I don't remember. Are you counting the one that I had when I was 2 and I didn't pick them out, or the one that my mom bought for me when I begged? So, all right. The zombie apocalypse is coming.
Okay.
Come on, let's be honest, we're pretty much there already.
Right, like maybe not too far off base.
Who are the 3 people you want on your team?
Jeez. My husband, because he's incredibly resourceful and he's really good at like keeping me sane and like keeping my temper tempered.
Good. Yeah, that's awesome. That's perfect.
So for sure, because very handy. Oh, honestly, probably my father-in-law also, because he's also super, super handy and resourceful.
Cool. 2 handy people. Love it.
Yeah. And they're very much like take charge and, you know, make it work. I don't know. I mean, are they people I know or like celebrities?
Anybody.
I was gonna say people I know. Probably my best friend, because honestly, she's probably not like going to be super resourceful or helpful, but we'll definitely.
What's a zombie apocalypse without your best friend?
We'll definitely like keep the mood manageable.
There you go.
And she's always good for like comic relief.
There you go. See, I'm telling you, what's a zombie apocalypse without your best friend?
And she's also vegan, so she knows how to work with like a lot of foods that you can like plant, and
Oh, that's
if there's
resourceful.
no animals or anything, like she can still make really really amazing food that we can grow.
That's
So I think in that
resourceful.
respect she'd be resourceful.
We'll give her that win. All right. Would you rather travel back in time to meet your ancestors or to the future to meet your descendants?
I don't plan on having descendants.
Neither do we. We were just talking about our pets being our babies earlier, so I understand.
I mean, I would say overall, I would be more curious to travel back in time because I feel like born a little bit late for my style in like music and culture and stuff too. And being able to see an era where, okay, to digress really quickly here, like my husband and I were talking about this the other day, like hearing music for the first time, like we're so blessed to have access to everything. I mean, it's streaming, it's all over the internet when something new releases, and it's basically like new people sampling sounds and developing new sounds based on what else is out there. But if you think of people like going back like really 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 far, like Gustav Holst, okay, The Planets, if you've never listened to The Planets by him, freaking incredible. And the people showing up in the audience and hearing a brand new sound that they've literally never heard before, mind blowing. Or like David Bowie is talking about his sister the first time she heard Elvis over in the UK, and like literally like dancing out of her clothes because, or like Little Richard, because they've never heard anything like that. And just being able to like see a culture where like it's so new and it's so innovative and you've never experienced anything like that before. Whereas now, like, yes, there's new stuff, but it's sampling on stuff that already exists.
I've never thought of it like that, but it's a really cool way to think of it because you're absolutely right. What's the last time? It's like the only time that ever happens is if it's like some major scientific breakthrough, and it's like, here's the sound of a star exploding. It's like, cool. I don't really care because it's not in my life every day, but I get, you know what I mean? Like, but that's a good point. So,
well, and I think there's certain artists today that, you look at people who, like David Bowie or Elton John or Queen or whoever, who developed certain sounds that, they translated into being still incredibly prolific artists in our day, where there's, 100 other artists of that time that we never really think about because they were popular at the time and now we don't really recognize them. And I think there's certain artists today that we can see it happening with. Like everybody really likes to shit on Billie Eilish, but her sound, very innovative.
It's very
unique. She's very, very talented. And I think it will continue to develop. And I think in 20 years time, like I'm not the biggest fan of her, but I think she's got a uniqueness about her that where we're living now, we're not realizing that it's really going to maybe alter the sound of music and people will continue to develop from there. So I guess I also have to be more conscious of like living in the day we're in now and not focusing on stuff that I missed because I wasn't born yet. But I think it would be really cool to be in a time where like everything was new. I mean, you look at the Beatles. I mean, people have they never heard that kind of music before.
Did you see? Another side note. Did you see the movie Yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because my wife and I just watched it, I think on Sunday.
Yeah.
And that's what that made me think of. And I was sitting there, and some of the songs, I was like in tears. I was like, oh my God, I love these songs. I wish I could hear them all for the first time. Yeah. Now, on that track, which you kind of leading me into my next question here, is if you could see one movie again for the first time, what movie would it be?
One movie again for the first time.
You'd watch it for the first time.
Ooh, that's a good. Hey guys, sorry, my neighbors are running through the alley. God, that's a really good question. Do you have another question?
Mm-hmm.
So I can think about this one for a second because I don't want to like hold you up.
Nope. Okay, next question. What did you name your first car?
I did not name my first car because a car was not my first vehicle.
Oh, motorcycle?
So no, my first vehicle was a scooter.
Nice.
It was bright cherry red. And the rationale behind it was that I lived in Lake Geneva growing up, and I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's a very touristy town, beautiful area, but like working downtown to catering to the tourism, you literally couldn't park a car anywhere. So instead of using my parents' car, I bought a scooter because I could park it on the sidewalk. And I bought it brand new. I saved up for like 2 summers to buy it, and I named it Shirley. You have frozen. I don't know if I'm frozen. Amu? Hmm. Oh no. All right. I don't know if I'm still on. Amu? All right, let's see if this worked. Oop, it looks like she's connecting to audio. If you guys can hear me, it says we're still live. Sorry about the glitch. Oh, are we back? You look like you're on a phone. Did your computer run out of battery?
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right, sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. I was like, I don't know if I'm still like being recorded. I'm like checking my phone to see if you texted me.
It still looks like I still see live on YouTube.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't leave. It still says recording.
Sorry that you kind of, for a second there, you had to entertain the audience there. I lost you, but
Oh
okay.
no, that's okay.
Okay, so getting back on track here. Is my screen okay? You guys hear me okay?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, so getting a little bit back on track, I think we talked about your scooter.
Yes, Shirley. I didn't remember where you heard.
I did not hear. I didn't hear Shirley, but
oh yes. Like I said, I was super excited about it. I saved up for like 2 years working over the summer because I bought it when I was 16. And I really had to convince my parents to let me get a scooter. They were not into it. And so yeah, I bought it, and I don't know why, but like the first name I thought about was Shirley. It really spoke to me, so it was Shirley the scooter.
Was it kind of like, it looked like a Shirley because it's like a little old school, or?
No, it was, it was called a Wildfire, some like Chinese brand scooter. It was just, like I said, bright cherry red, just looked like a pretty generic scooter, but I will say that thing was fun as hell. And that actually is what got me into my passion for motorcycles, because I would ride it after work. And yeah, it was only a scooter, it was only 50 cc's, but like just being able to like cruise down by the lake, the wind in my hair, 2 wheels, I was like, I gotta get a motorcycle. So
all right, give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna see if I can get back over on the computer screen here.
Sure. I wasn't sure like if you were on a computer and it like ran out of battery or something.
All right. Can you hold on. Okay. How's that?
It's good. I can't see you. I only see your picture, but that's fine.
There we go.
Oh, they're perfect.
All right. Sorry about that.
That is okay.
Little glitch in the system there, but okay. So yeah. I like Shirley. Mine was Hercules. I had a 1993 Ford Bronco OJ style, but it was black instead of white, and it was a beast. 8 miles to the gallon. I can't tell you how many times I pushed that car home because I ran out of gas as a poor teenager. So, all right. You have to sing karaoke. What is the song you pick?
I have a couple songs that I rotate through, but most recently my song of choice has been Honky Cat.
Nope.
It's an Elton John song.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with Elton John. Shame on me.
Very catchy. You should listen to it.
All right. I'll throw that in there. All right. What is your favorite sandwich?
Ooh, favorite sandwich. Probably meatball. Does that count? If you're like talking about like sub meatball, yeah, like a good meatball sandwich.
Really? What?
Like, and cheese over that.
And why?
I'm not a big cold cuts person, to be honest.
Okay.
So like to go to a deli and get just like a roast beef or turkey sandwich, not super into it. Like a good pastrami or corned beef, like a hot pastrami or corned beef I can deal with for a sandwich, but just to go get like cold cuts, not really into it. So yeah, meatball is It's a pretty safe bet for me because I love meatballs, I love cheese, I love sauce. I'm a big sauce person. It was actually brought to my attention now that I'm cooking so much in quarantine. My husband's like, every time you cook something, it always has a sauce to it. And I was like, that is really weird and also true.
Yeah, I'm
So-
kind of a sauce person too. I like dipping and all that kind of
yeah,
stuff. So.
yeah. So whether it be like tikka masala, which I have not forgotten to send you the recipe, I just keep like thinking, I'm like, oh, I have to do this, or like my other signature dish is like Hungarian goulash, or anything with everything I do is like with a sauce. So I don't know, I just like the sauciness, like a good bread, a good meatball, cheese, little arugula on there to give it some crunch. Super into it.
There you go.
Mhm.
All right, last question. Is there a movie that is really popular or that's a classic that you have never seen and you feel guilty about?
I wouldn't say that I feel guilty about it, but I have never watched Pulp Fiction the entire way through, start to finish. I have seen the entirety of the movie in bits and pieces, but I have never watched it from start to
Getting a little
finish.
defensive there. I didn't say anything.
Also, Clueless. I've never seen Clueless.
Okay, yeah. So
And I feel like that's got a fairly cult following to it, where there's a lot of like Clueless references and stuff. And I was like, I don't know, it just like never really interested me. But yeah, like I said, I've seen Pulp Fiction probably 5 times, but never start to finish.
Never start to finish. All right. Did you have an answer for the first movie?
Yeah. So ironically, it's actually a movie I watched recently, but I would go into it wishing I could see it again for the first time, is Parasite, because I had a different. I don't know why I thought it was going to be more of like a horror movie.
Okay.
Like I just had a misconception about what it was supposed to be. If you haven't seen it and you're fine with watching subtitles, it is an incredible movie. I mean, it deserved all of the awards it won. Have you seen it?
Is it? No, I haven't seen it. Is it like a suspense?
So it's not even so much suspense. It's like, it's very tonally poignant in that like it follows this family from South Korea who they're very, very poor, but like the dynamic in their family is like they're very close but they don't have much, and then they go and basically like scam this wealthy family into being their driver and their housekeeper and their tutor and all this other stuff, and it takes a very, very dark turn, and the ending is just brutal but brilliant. I mean, like truly, like you don't want the end to be the way it is because you're like, but it is such an amazingly well done movie, and it's definitely not a feel good movie, but because of everything, like the reviews I was reading and stuff, and like hearing people talk about like the end being brutal and stuff, like I thought it was going to be a horror movie, not like the Grudge horror movie, but
right.
I kept thinking that the plot was going to take a different turn, so I wasn't as focused on paying attention to what the movie was conveying. So if I could watch it again without coming in with this misconception about what it was supposed to be, again, I thoroughly enjoyed it, but it was different than I was expecting, so I wasn't focused on what I should have been focused on.
That's a very thorough answer. I was just gonna say like The Sandlot or something, but I guess that works.
I had a lot of time to think about it when you left.
You did. Oh, that's fair. You did. So that's the end of my questions. But I listen. I really can't tell you how much fun this has been for me. It's been really great, and I hope that people who decide to watch this really learn a little bit of just about Macanudo, and just hopefully they light up a nice, probably a bigger cigar than what I'm smoking because I'm about done. But yeah, but I really appreciate you taking the time to do this with us. It means a lot to us right now, especially you guys have been pushing, small businesses right now. So we can't tell you how much it means to us. But so for those of you who are watching, just make sure you are following Laurel on Facebook and Twitter. What are your handles on Twitter and Facebook? I'm sorry, Instagram.
Yeah, I really don't do Twitter. I've never been able to like warm up to that. Instagram is Macanudo_Laurel, but you can just search me by Laurel Tilley, and then same with Facebook is just Laurel Tilley.
Cool. And if they want to, so if anybody's interested in just staying up to date with kind of the Macanudo brand and what they're doing, Laurel's the person to follow. You can also make sure you continue to follow us on Facebook, which is Arlington Pipe and Cigar Lounge. And then our Instagram is at Arlington Pipe Cigar. Check out our website. You can see all of the different general brands that we feature. Go over there, check it out, and make sure you guys participate in our FUMA event, which is happening next Friday at 5 o'clock Central Time.
Exciting.
I am very excited about it. We do have probably less than if he hasn't sold any since we've been doing this, we have less than 15. I think we actually have closer to less than 11 or 12 slots left.
Okay.
So if people are still interested, make sure you come by. It's by any 3 cigars from General, get one free. And with that, you get an opportunity to be invited into our FUMA event next Friday, which we're really excited about. So hopefully you guys learned a little bit today. Laurel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. And thank you for, you know, putting this all together. I mean, it's great that, you know, not everybody's willing to like go to a virtual event or, you know, plan it ahead of time where people can come pick up the FUMAs and stuff. So this has been great. I appreciate your time. This was fun. I like the unique questions. I'm excited about next week. So you know, thanks for kick off to a good long weekend here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah. Enjoy the Memorial Day weekend. I'm losing track of time here.
I still think it's April, so if that makes it
I had to set an alarm for today. I was like, I almost forgot. Jeez. Yeah. So hopefully you guys continue to watch our Facebook page, or I'm sorry, watch our YouTube page. Subscribe, like the videos, send them around to people you think might be interested in it as well. So Laurel, we will see you next Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time here. And with that, I will say goodbye and let you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you, guys.